Unknown risks might result in large breakdowns. Most likely in our industry sector, poor monitoring of industry trends means a slow detection of emerging risks for monitoring. This means poor recording in turn, miss undetected sources of breakdowns. So who's this risk description for? Who's gonna manage what breakdown? This is the problem with vague risk descriptions, and it breaks everything that follows. After all, you cannot mitigate a problem that is not well defined. I'm Anthony. I help organizations see risk clearly, practically, and without the jargon. Today, we are going to cover three things. First, the tripod formula to craft your risk descriptions and why it works. Second, the most common errors I see in practice with those risk descriptions. And third, how to use AI to help you to get started drafting risk descriptions without letting it write your thinking for you. By the end of this video, you'll have a very good idea about how to write a good risk description using the tripod formula, that is event, cause, and consequence, effectively. So for the first part about the tripod formula to craft your risk descriptions, I like to think about it as a way of seeing things, like using a different lens. Let me give you an example. What to do when you have to go out on a rainy day? What do you do? How do you do it? You prepare with the right clothes, you plan your trip, you take an umbrella with you, you might have other accessories, but from the get-go, you take at the very least your umbrella and plan hopefully not to have to use it, but it's there, ready for you when you need it to help you complete your trip so you can get back home safely and take hopefully a hot shower. The event in this case is a rainy day. The cause is the rainy season or winter. The consequence is getting drenched and potentially sick if you don't take seriously the cold. And because of this event, cause, and consequence sequence and potential events and consequences is that you have weather resistance or waterproof items like your umbrella, and you plan your route with areas that have rain coverage so you are out of the rain. And this is how you take a calculated approach to deal with the risk of being exposed to rain and getting potentially sick, including how to treat yourself afterwards of the event with a hot bath or shower, mitigating the potential for sickness, right? So here's the formula again, write it down. The event might occur due to the cause, leading to consequence. That's an easy way to see it. That's it, 3 parts, event, cause, consequence. Now, let's go back to that unknown risk descriptions from the start, especially concerning this unknown risk might result in large breakdowns. Unknowns equals which risks? Large breakdowns of what kind? There is no causal mechanism. It's several risks wrapped into one vague statement. But what if you were to rewrite it like this? Lack of preventive maintenance and monitoring might result in large breakdowns. Suddenly, without finishing this whole risk description, we can already begin to see and thinking about our monitoring procedures, like validating that our machinery preventive maintenance meets manufacturer standards or recommendations, and in turn analyze the actual use of this machinery versus what is happening in our organization. After all, you cannot mitigate a problem that is not well defined. So the hardest part is splitting and balancing the risk description across its 3 fundamental parts. Often I say, how do you know the risk is being mitigated if the event that triggered it never happens? Or how do you know this is even a risk if the event does not have any consequences? And last, how do you know the risk is being mitigated if the cause doesn't exist? They are all very similar, but just missing one of the components throws off the entire risk description out of balance. Think back to that rainy day. If the cause doesn't exist, it doesn't rain, it's not the rainy season, then the whole description is unbalanced. You are preparing for a rainy day, taking the umbrella with you for something that is not going to happen. And if the event doesn't happen, then why are you taking your umbrella with you on a sunny day? Likewise, if the consequence doesn't exist, you are not going to get sick because you are immune to cold or you don't get drenched when you get back home. So the whole risk collapses. It's just not applicable. Having identified the event, cause, and consequence correctly helps you to target the mitigation action and procedures you are going to follow to help this event or mitigate the consequences of this event. More than technique, being consequent is what I am aiming for. Now, for the second part, the most common errors I see when writing the risk descriptions, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's go back to the rainy day analogy one more time and think about the umbrella as your control to don't get drenched, and the hot bath as your mitigation of what to do immediately after the event. Here's the problem I see constantly. Risk descriptions that lead you towards a predetermined solution. Take this example. Unknown risks might result in large breakdowns, most likely due to poor data recording and undetected breakdowns. When you write it like this, the event and cause are already leading you towards poor data recording. The answer is baked in before you have diagnosed the actual problem. So please don't get ahead of the solution. Focus on a neutral approach to the event, cause, and consequence. When working on mitigations and controls, you will have the opportunity to solve the situation there, not before. So write the risk description neutrally. Let the controls and mitigations come after the diagnosis, not before. I provided a finished risk register for testing purposes and analysis to my local AI, and I asked it to focus on the grammar and sense of the risk descriptions in the context of being a risk management professional using the event, cause, and consequence formula. And what happened is that it read the mitigations quickly and identified that they did not align with the risk description. AI does an excellent job in this type of analysis. It can work as a sounding board to scan your risk register quickly and efficiently. Yet this does not replace the professional in the loop, that is you. It only empowers you to cover more ground more quickly. Now, for the third section, how do you use AI to help you drafting your risk descriptions? When talking about AI using to draft your risk descriptions, think of it as a drafting tool, not a thinking tool. AI's failures model are simple. It just lacks the context surrounding a risk. So it tends to write unbalanced generic risk descriptions. You'll get things like cybersecurity threats might occur due to inadequate security measures leading to data breaches. That is fair. That is not wrong, but it's also incomplete. So which threats, which security measures, what data? Having said that, if you are monitoring the output as the expert in the loop, it does not take much to improve those generic descriptions using your own organization's context. If AI cannot produce a complete product, why bother with it? Well, think about it. It's much harder to start writing a risk description from zero, like a writer staring at a blank page. However, once the page has been produced with the AI, even if it contains errors, it is faster to edit and polish. It's a springboard of sorts. If you are not outsourcing your thinking, you are just outsourcing the first draft. That will be fine. The professional judgment is still yours, and the context, that's still yours. The accountability, definitely yours. Here's the framing that works. When in your prompt you give the background to the AI to act as a risk specialist with Big Four foundations, it immediately changes the frame of mind, if you will. It aims to be more professional, more sounding, and that's what we are looking for. So we minimize the edits and corrections we need to do afterwards. For example, you can use this prompt for getting started with drafting a risk description and see how it works for you. If you have it to act as a risk specialist with Big Four foundations and using the formula that we described, then you can insert the risk, the topic, and fit in the documents that you are interested to surface the risk, how it to structure it with the formula as event, cause, consequence, and also ask it that the description describes the inherent risks, that is the risk before controls, or the residual risk, not both, and keep it under 50 words. So that will be a very good start, and you can get a sense of how to draft it so you can further polish it. And here's my honest take on AI. It's very useful, excellent to get it started. Speed drafts help you to analyze difference. What is not useful at this stage is for the final product, especially since as a professional, you really need to know the content of your work papers. Treat AI more like a very clever junior member of your teams that needs some hand holding. Yes, you will have your clever junior team to do quite a bit of the heavy lifting and research, but you will never ever present the work of your junior as is directly to the board, will you? The same logic applies here. AI is this very clever junior member of your team that needs some hand holding and a lot of direction, and you will never ever present your junior's draft directly to the board. The same applies here. Now, in terms of presenting these risk descriptions to the board and similar meetings, high-level meetings, let's talk about the challenge of coming across with these risk descriptions clearly. Directors really are busy, and ambiguity, by definition, is among the top things that the board just doesn't need to hear more of. Operational risks tells a director nothing much, but if you say lack of preventive maintenance might result in equipment failure, and this in turn can lead to production delays, furthermore, potential regulatory warnings or infringement notices, now they can act on a specific situation. After all, having a risk register or at least a brief that is board-friendly goes a long way to ensure that the board understands the gravity of the bigger risks that you are presenting. So in turn, they can take effective action across the organization. If you fail to deliver this in a structured way or deliver a completed risk register, messages get diluted, resources and urgency gets delayed, which in turn can impact and cost the organization down the line. So you cannot manage a project that is not understood or well reported. Here's my view on regulation in general. To date, compliance and industry bodies focuses more on the frameworks being in place rather than the quality of the documentation. Yes, that makes part of the package that you present, but ultimately the quality of the risk register is not a fixed requirement, but it does make a big difference in the efficiency of your risk environment. An effective risk register can speak volumes about your organization and increase the efficiency across the organization as well, as it connects all the dots in a single place. Okay, let's wrap it up. Now, you have connected the concepts from videos 1 through 4. That's about the previous one. This is one. You have the vocabulary. This is the skill that makes it all real. The risk descriptions connect it all. Without this, without a clear risk description, the whole risk register becomes noise. Directors can act. Resources get stuck in the wrong places. The framework looks good on paper, but nothing moves. With this, with the event cause consequence, you give your organization a language for risks that actually means something. There is a free risk register template in the description below. You can use it to begin drafting your own risks. The instruction pages, they show step by step how the risk register is meant to be documented. And the next video on the series starts with shadow AI, the risk that you already have running without knowing it. So I'm Anthony, and with that, see you in the next layer.